After dedicating the last few months of my sim racing to the iRacing platform, I'm finally at a point of being able to try the GT3 category action for the very first time. And I was both incredibly excited and incredibly nervous about the experience that I was about to have. Now, after doing a bunch of car testing in the off season, I have decided to purchase the BMW M4 GT3 Evo as my first GT3 car on iRacing. Not only does this mimic my real-world support of BMW and Team WRT, but it's also the perfect car to do some comparison testing of iRacing to other sim titles. And for our first GT3 races, we are quite fittingly going to be at the Red Bull Ring, a track that 12 months ago I showcased my first ever GT3 sim races on Assetto Corsa Competizione. However, the big question, was all of the time, energy, and money invested into this sim worth it for this GT3 experience? Well, let's dive into these first races and find out. So it's with great excitement that I get to show you my first proper qualifying lap here at the Red Bull Ring in GT3 cars on iRacing. Now there's a couple of things to talk about the Red Bull Ring that is a little bit different to my experience of this track in ACC. Definitely track limits were going to be a problem at the circuit. On ACC at turns 1, 3 and 4 you can use all of the entry rumble strips to maximize the track, but on iRacing that is certainly not possible. I was picking up a lot of track limits in practice, working out where that limit was, and I was going to have to be very cautious of that coming into these races here. Now the other thing to note is that the tyre warm-up phase with this GT3 tyre model that was recently introduced to iRacing requires a good 4 or 5 laps to really get the tyre up to proper temperature. The challenge was the only 2 qualifying laps that you're allowed in these iRacing sessions, so extracting the maximum on a colder tyre was going to be a real challenge and something I was really going to need to work on. Particularly these front engine cars with a lot of natural understeer, you're going to have to be very precise about how hard you push the corner entry, and I was really looking forward to the challenge of that. I'm committed to using this car for the season, trying to understand it and learn it, and at the Red Bull Ring here it certainly wasn't the best car choice, but I'm up for the challenge of learning it. Now through the final corner, bit of an Achilles heel for me at this track, but we're going to come across the line to just sneak into the 1 minute 30s with a 30.999 and start this race from 11th position on the grid. So it's safe to say that I was expecting a very tight race here at the Red Bull Ring. This is split 6 of 17, 20 drivers on the grid, all within 200 iRating of each other. Door numbers are out the window at this point, everyone is theoretically the same level, and as we get the green light underway right in the middle of this 20 car field, what was going to unfold here in this first fixed race in the next 20 minutes. Down to turn 1 with a bit of space and a big wiggle on cold tyres out the other side. A little bit of drama behind for one car, but everyone else through here nice and cleanly. Up towards turn number 3 for the first time. Don't want to outbrake myself here, but with plenty of space in front, and in fact it's the 2 cars behind me that lunge down the inside and I am left 3 wide on the outside, getting a bit of a bump there, and that Ferrari in front actually losing their front bumper in that, but no 4X contact. We do lose 2 positions however. Coming down towards turn number 4, car number 9 Ferrari behind, all eyes forward, trying not to understeer through here on colder tyres, doing my best in the opening lap to try and warm them up in that warm-up phase formation lap, but we're going to still be on cold tyres for a few of these laps and trying to be cautious here. Porsche in front, car number 3 runs wide at turn number 6. That allows the car 10 Ferrari down the inside, and a little bit of a touch there in the braking zone forces the Porsche wide once again, but not enough traction from my car to get around the outside there. Falling in behind, coming down into the final sector for the first time in this race. Through turn number 9 and then the crucial turn number 10, seeing how we can get through here, and not the best exit again will be my Achilles heel for these races here at the Red Bull Ring. Lap number 1 done. What will unfold here on lap number 2? down towards turn number 1 is really crucial here to get a good exit. Careful of those track limits, and again on cold tyres, really struggle to get the BMW through there in the first few laps. Charging up towards turn number 3 once again. Now the Porsche will go for a big dive here down on car number 10 there, but completely misses the apex, has to stop right there in the middle of the track, and actually allows me to go past both of those cars. The Porsche falls in behind immediately on the light flash. He's quite eager to get up away from some of these cars. Not entirely sure what he's expecting here in the middle of lap number 2. We're going to potentially go 3 wide into turn 4. I've got Ferrari on my outside there, and we're going to do enough on the exit to pull away and take 3 cars in 2 corners here on lap number 2. Down to turn number 6, and unfortunately my understeery front engine car, I'll get on the throttle too early there and just push way wide out, taking up another track limit there and allowing the Ferrari to slip up the inside at turn 7, immediately giving that position back. Slightly slower exit for me out of turn number 8, and that allows the Porsche with a bit of a run, but the blue Ferrari 2 cars back, he goes out, brake the Porsche down the inside and actually pokes the nose in on my inside down into turn 9, and we have to give space for each other at turn number 10. Get out of there okay though, still with a clean car, and there's a bit of drama behind with cars left and right. I'm slightly clear of it, but things may unfold here at turn number 1. At the very last moment I see a car on the outside there. I open the steering, but it's not enough. We get a push on the right hand rear, and then I see a Ferrari and a Porsche. Around they go, and somehow we manage to come out of there straight ahead, but we do have a bit of wheel damage and a bent steering wheel. Let's look at it on the replay here to see that blue Ferrari, I don't think intentionally went down the inside at turn number 9, but it did mean we had to give space at turn 10, and it's the Ferrari 2 cars back without the front bumper, making it 3 wide into turn 1. A little touch with the Porsche in the braking zone. Porsche outbrakes himself a little bit, and it's just enough of a tag there as I try and keep it within track limits, and probably in hindsight I could have just bailed out, gone to the outside there, risked the slowdown, but maybe have lived to fight another day. Looking at it on board from that Ferrari behind, he takes that inside run down the middle there, 3 wide, and you just see the Porsche emerge up the inside there, trying to make the turn. It's just enough of a touch, and then unfortunately as we come back across the track, tag the rear of that Ferrari. And here it is on board with the Porsche, trying to outbrake everyone here. Just brakes too late, trying to make the turn, as much turn as he can, and as I said, potentially could have just bailed out to the outside there and been a little bit more of self-preservation, and ultimately have got through there without that tangle. But as I said, I was expecting very close battles, and we at least have got the car pointing straight, and I still have all of my body panels. So with a slightly bent wheel, as I mentioned, we were able to push on here and catch the back of this little group of cars up in front. The front of this queue is my starting position, so potentially if the race goes well from this point, we might be able to sneak past some cars and get back to where we started. But all things considered, we're definitely going to need a really good run for the rest of this race. Picking up another off track there up to 7. So a bit more of a cautious approach from me for the next few laps, just to try and get back into a groove and then work these cars out in front a little bit. With 8 minutes to go, and being on the back of the train, we were just going to see if an opportunity would present itself to start working my way up the field. And here on lap number 9, coming out of turn 3 with a good exit, I do get that opportunity. The blue Ferrari in front looks down the outside of car 18, it actually opens the door for me to drive up the inside towards turn number 4. We're on the brakes here to make the apex, and a nice little clean overtake there on the back now of the car 18 BMW. At this point, I really need to turn up the intensity, as I'm going to have that pressure from the Ferrari behind. So with at 6.5 minutes to go, we're ready to do battle here. Seeing the car 18 run a bit wide there at turn 6 gave me a good idea of just get a good exit from one of these corners. We might get an opportunity. Not the greatest one out of turn 7 and 8 there, and the Ferrari is going to sort of show the nose a little bit as we come down towards turn number 9. And unfortunately, this is where things go very wrong for me. A bit of a slide as I pitch the car in too hard into turn 9. We lose the rear end, around we go, and it's a disaster, backing the car into the wall and immediately realizing the car is completely done. Back to the pit lane and out of this race. Checking it on the replay here, it's just a case of pitching the car in too hard into turn 9, a little bit of a slide. And the cars, when they slide at that speed, I find it really hard to recover, and that flick back oversteer, the snap oversteer there, just sends you straight across the track and hard into the wall. So a disappointing way to finish my first GT3 race. Surely it can only get better from here. So it's straight into race number 2, the 40-minute race with open setups and a required pit stop. We've qualified P13 in this 28 car field, and it was going to be interesting to see how this longer race might play out. We get the green light and we're underway with a little bit of space around us into turn number 1. We're going to take the inside defensive line and try and get through turn 1 nice and clean. Fortunately, that is the case, but it does allow the Ferrari car 26 on my outside as we go up towards turn number 3, and we're going to need to commit to that inside line once again at this next key braking zone. Now it's going to be a bit of a traffic jam into turn 3 here, slowing right down, and that actually opens the lane on the outside there for the Aston Martin to sneak by as well. So already 2 places lost in these opening corners, but we've at least been able to avoid any damage, any track limits, and have a clean opening part to this lap. Down to turn number 4, cautious of the cold tyre understeer here, and a little bit more gentle getting on the throttle. It's car 6 that's actually run wide, a little bit of a run, don't really want to get on the outside at turn 6, but by the time I get in line, it's the BMW behind who's starting to put the nose in, and unfortunately we do have to go the long way at turn 6, which is not ideal. The BMW and the Ford there sneaking down the inside, and then having to work really hard to stay in track limits, get on the power and hold off the Mercedes-Benz behind. But already 4 places lost here on this opening lap, falling further down into the thick of the field and trying really hard not to lose any more positions and get this race underway. But again, no damage on this opening lap, and we're going to have to really think about how we approach the next 40 minutes, see if we can't get some of those positions back. Now, start of lap number 3, you can see the Ford and the BMW are battling it out side by side into turn 1. Going to push to try for a good exit of turn 1. Unfortunately, on cold tyres though, we pushed too hard, dropping it back to second to make the corner, and that's going to give car number 1 a really good run up towards turn number 3. Again, we're going to take this defensive inside line, really want to hold on to this position, but hitting the brakes to make the apex, the Mercedes-Benz does a really good job around the outside of turn 3 with the momentum, and unfortunately there is nothing we can do about that, dropping back to position number 19, 5 places lost now in these opening laps. Now all the way up to lap number 7, we got a little bit of breathing room, which was quite nice. At this point I do need to actually apologise for the recording here. In changing the new UI overlays, I've actually misplaced my lap time counter there from the IR drive overlays, so it is a little bit cut off, and I didn't realise until editing these videos. Straight back to the action though, and things were about to heat up as the group in front and the group behind close in to form quite a decent sized battle pack. There'll be no reprieve here for the next 29 minutes and 45 seconds of this race, and that's the result of just close IR rated drivers having those I ratings all within 200. Again, you forget about the door numbers and everyone's the same level, so this is going to be close racing now for the next 30 minutes. And I got to admit, it was pretty tense. It felt pretty nervous, particularly with what happened in race number 1. I was trying to just be safe, trying to have a good race, but I just knew how quickly things could go wrong, and as a result I was probably a little bit cautious. Might be resulting in how some of those initial overtakes occurred. Now a good exit out of the final corner with the 2 cars in front battling, looking left and right, but nowhere really to go here into turn 1. Once again, going to try for a good exit, but overly cautious once again. Could have been on the throttle much sooner there, and that's going to give car 17 an opportunity. Again, down towards turn number 3, being defensive, Looking at car 6 here, going to try and follow him into the braking zone as deep as I possibly can and hope that I'll be able to get a good exit here and hold on to that place behind. Fortunately, that works this time around. I'm going to go side by side, 2 by 2 here, down towards turn number 4, and starting to get some really good practice here at this early braking zone, hugging the inside apex and working really hard on corner exit. Now it's car 6 that probably jumped on the throttle a bit early there, pushing the forward wide, and then I think he hits the rev limiter here on the run down to turn 6, slows right up, and unfortunately means we go right side by side here with the Ford Mustang, stuck on the outside once again of turn 6. It's never going to work out, and that allows car 17 to sneak down the inside at turn 7, and what could have been an overtaking opportunity results in me losing further places here in this Red Bull Ring race. Now into the final sector once again, and those Aston Martin and the Ford Mustang are still battling it out here. I now have really big pressure from car 24, the red Ferrari behind, and say this is just how these races are, with everyone so close on iRacing and the Red Bull Ring presenting so many of these opportunities. It is a constant battle out there, a very high speed game of chess with extra players involved, and to be honest, I haven't really experienced racing like this for some time, and I've been really enjoying how this one unfolds. You just can't let off the gas, there's no reprieve, just constantly have to think about your next move. Now we get a run on the Mustang, we go down the outside, and unfortunately car 17, as he sweeps back towards the apex, gets collected by the number 8 Ford Mustang, and being on the outside was the best place to be there, sweeping around the mess and actually picking up 2 positions now, and for the first time really finding myself near the front of this queue and getting a little bit of a chance to stretch the legs on this BMW and see what the lap time is like. Now I think this is a good opportunity to also quickly talk about the driving experience of these GT3s. The tyre model is really good on iRacing now, and I've been really enjoying that transition from the cold tyre challenge of getting this car around quickly when it didn't perform at its best, into that warmer tyre phase where the car gave you a lot more grip, a lot more confidence, but still gave you that feedback of when you were pushing it too hard. I think it's going to be a really fun challenge, understanding that transition and trying to get the most out of the tyre at all times of the race, but I really enjoy these GT3s once the tyres have warmed up. Now on that lap, setting my fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 29.667, and as we got a few laps further down the line, we did get a chance to catch up to the number 7 BMW that had managed to skip away at the start of the race. Down here to turn number 6, the Aston Martin sneaks up the inside there, and I tried my best to follow through. Should have done a better job of that. The number 7 car slamming the door shut there, and now it becomes my acquired target for the last bit of this opening stint, thinking about a pit stop in a few laps time. Here on lap number 17, get a really good run out of turn number 1, and I certainly had pace on this BMW at this part of the race, which was really encouraging for me. We're having a battle with a car that was the same as mine, but obviously the strengths and weaknesses were the same as well. Not getting a chance to go around the outside there at turn number 3, and now car 24 right on the rear bumper again, so we take away that cushion that I had, and we've got to look forward and backwards all at the same time once again with 14 minutes to go in this race. Now out of turn number 6, he's running a little bit wide there, and we're going to come down through this middle section here, looking left and right, not really sure exactly where the strength's going to be, focusing on my exits now on these 2 corners. The more patient you can be on the throttle and the better the exit was, that was really where the strength of these front engine cars were, particularly compared to the mid-engine cars like the Ferrari behind. At this point now, end of lap number 17, we're going to decide to jump into the pit lane and try and perform a bit of an undercut here on this BMW, sweeping around turn 9, making the pit lane entrance, and for the first time taking a pit stop here on iRacing. Charging towards the control line, a little bit cautious there, don't want to pick up a speeding penalty, jumping in the lane, and the auto fuel feature here in the pit stop was really good. Gave myself a 1 lap margin, and very quickly we are in and out, not taking tyres on the stop, which I felt was what most people were doing for a 40-minute race, and we are back out there As it turned out, I only had one lap to make this undercut strategy work. Right on there, still with the warm tyres, having not changed them in the stop. And as we come across the start finish line, charging up towards turn number 1, I can see cars are exiting the lane now. And are we going to get a chance to perform this undercut? And as we sweep around turn number 1, there's car number 7 on the exit of pit lane, and we have done enough to get in front there, as well as car 20, the Ferrari as well. So he now becomes the threat from behind as we get into the final stages here, 10 minutes of this race. Of course, the final corner continues to be my Achilles heel. That gives a run for the Ferrari up the inside at turn 1. We're looking for the crisscross here, and a better exit from me allows me to quickly jump to the inside of the number 20 Ferrari, charging up towards turn number 3. We're quite keen to see if we can't keep this position, hold on to this position now with only a stint of the race still to go. He's running me very narrow into turn number 3, and it's good racing there, good hard racing. We get a little bit of a touch on the exit as well. I've got a nose in front now, heading down towards turn number 4. Really good battle so far. Will it still be a good battle into turn number 4? Again, he's holding me narrow to turn 4. We get that inside line, hard on the throttle, and he's been well enough to stay there. Now on the inside for turn number 6, and at this point we're going to have to give this one away. I've not been able to make the outside of turn 6 work for me all race long, so really good hard battle there. Again, clean battle. Really happy with how some of these battles are going out, even though we've missed out there in that one. 9 minutes to go now in this race. Now as we jump into the final part, the final stops have been made. Car 24 there exits the lane directly behind me, as he was a few laps prior when I made my stop. And now the battle pack forms again. Car number 8 Ford Mustang at the back there. Car number 26, which was part of the opening stage of this race, at the front of the queue. And with 7.5 minutes to go, it'll be a really big battle here for the last moments of this race. Again, we're going to look for a really good exit out of turn number 1 and get a little bit of a run here, but not enough on car 26. It's car 24 now that is on my outside, and we're going to have to try and brake nice and deep into this corner with that Ferrari in front. We're hard on the brakes here. A little bit of contact there at the braking zone, and then in the mirror we see the Ferrari and the Ford collect each other there. Around they go, and that takes the pressure off now for the final part of this race. Let's check it out on the replay from the Ferrari's perspective there. He's on the outside. We're hard brake. He's wanting to turn in early for the corner, but I'm still there in the braking zone, and then unfortunately tangles on the exit with the Ford Mustang, and around he goes. Like I said, that definitely took the pressure off from behind. In 17th position now, looking at the back here of number 16, and it's actually car number 6 who gets turned around a little bit there on turn number 1. So we pick up one more position up to position 16. Looking now at the back of a top 15, will there be an opportunity? Car 26 runs wide at turn 4 on lap number 24 here. We're around the outside once again at turn 6. Can we finally make that move work? Absolutely not. Trying to make the crisscross here with a bit of push, but unfortunately not enough drive. And then again here, wide for car number 26 out of turn number 7. He's definitely starting to lose a bit of front end grip here at the end of this race. I'm getting another opportunity down the inside at turn number 9. Want to make sure we give space here on the outside, right over that curb, and we managed to clear the nose there. Unfortunately, as funny as it is, we do manage to make a mess of the final corner of this lap. Have not been able to really get that right all race long, and now up the inside comes car 26, and we're unable to do anything about that. Not enough drive on the exit with the crisscross that time, and he reclaims that position from me with a few laps to go. So that was the end of the battles for me. We did our best to try and hold on to 26 there, but it's going to be a position 16 finish, dropping a few places from where we started this race, but a much better result for me and a lot more fun than that first race. And I got to admit, if that's what the racing's like on iRacing and GT3, well, I will be here for a good time to come. Really enjoyed that one despite losing a little bit of iRating. Safety rating increase was a nice way to finish off, and just great battles with so many of the drivers in that field. Top marks to everyone. So like all good experiments, you should take the average result from 3 different tests, and we are going to jump into a third race here. Will it be like the first or be like the second? Let's find out. Now this is an early morning race for me. We've managed to sneak into split 1, but the top iRating in this split is 9,200. Keen to test myself against some higher rated iDrivers for the first time. Let's dive into it. Now there was contact between a couple of McLarens there at the braking zone at turn 1, and chaos ensues as a result. A number of cars off track, and we were able to sneak through the middle of that with a slightly more cautious approach to turn 1, up the middle between the Porsche and the McLaren, and now on the outside as we come into turn number 3, braking deep, committing to the outside line here at turn 3. A good exit from me and a poor exit from the Porsche on the inside there, and we find ourselves in some clear air on lap 1 into the top 10 for the first time in an iRacing GT3 race. Charging down to turn number 4 here, trying to get away from the cars behind, not quite making the apex there, so we're going to have to be a little bit more patient on the throttle, on the brakes, on these cold tyres, reminding myself that in these fixed setup races the car does not turn as nicely as it did in the previous race. Just making it through turn number 6 here, and then unfortunately we're going to run wide here at turn number 7, not making a good job of getting away from the field. Car number 10 looking to the outside, and it's car 5 who's going to dive up the inside towards turn number 9. Can we get through here cleanly while I brake early, trying to tuck in behind this Ferrari? Unfortunately, no major contact, and we managed to sneak through here cleanly, get out of turn number 10. We're going to complete the first lap and be in position number 8 with the rest of this 20-minute race to go. Now, coming down to turn 10 on lap number 2, the issues with turn 10 continue, just pushing too hard into the air, trying to throw the car in too much. The front tyres do not want to play ball, running wide, and car number 8 Mercedes immediately goes around, and we drop back to 9th place. Now, as a result of the more spread out iRacing in this race, we have managed to find ourselves with a little bit of clear air and sort of sit down and try and put out some decent laps. There were some cars involved in the mess at the start of the race who were starting to make their way up towards me. You see behind me now the Ferrari there at 2,700 iRating, a Porsche behind him over 3,000 iRating. So I really needed to put the best laps that I possibly could in, and trying to sneak down towards the 1 minute 29s on these fixed setup cars. We were getting close with a 130.3, but my issues at turn 10 were persisting here in the middle of this race, and the Ferrari there, he's managed to catch me and easily get by on turn 10. Now we're going to try and fight for this one because we are now at the back of the top 10. We've got ourselves here, and we're going to do our best to try and defend these positions with 7.5 minutes to go. We get a nice run on the switchback out of turn number 1 up towards turn number 3 on the outside, hoping for another really good exit around the outside here. It's a little bit of a wiggle on the Ferrari as he gets on the power, so we're just able to try and have the nose in on the outside there as we head down towards turn number 4. But however, I'm not significantly alongside, and with that Porsche directly behind, we decide to brake early and try and tuck in here to defend that position behind as well. But of course, you guessed it, at turn 10 on that lap, we don't get a nice run through turn number 10, getting a little bit too much on the inside of that particular lap and a bit hesitant on the throttle, and that number 7 Porsche comes up the inside into turn 1, braking early, trying to do the crisscross, but not getting a good exit there, and we fall back to position number 10. Coming down towards the back end of that next lap, It's car 13 now who's made a really good run. It was a very sloppy lap for me, this one, a bit out of groove, being passed by a few cars here. So we're needing to defend into turn number 9 here, and the Ferrari, he's going to try around the outside, giving him space here, trying to be as courteous as possible, fighting it as hard as I can, but the Ferrari probably picks up maybe a track cut there on the outside of the circuit, but plenty of run around the outside and a good move from that driver, we have to admit. So with 2.5 minutes to go, we are down here in position number 12. There is a bit of time behind to a driver that I've been able to hold off for most of this race, so I was pretty confident that I could at least finish here unless there was some issues up in front. And sure enough, on this lap, it's car number 7 who unfortunately gets the Porsche into a bit of a slide through turn 7, and he falls off to the outside of the racetrack there, so we do pick up one position into position number 11. So as I head around to start the very final lap of this race, I get a chance to reflect on what I've experienced this week in my first iRacing GT3 races. First off, I'd have to say that the driving experience of these cars is fantastic. The cold tyre challenge, and then the way the car gives you confidence but also feedback on the warmer tyre, is a real treat, and I have really enjoyed starting to learn that and how to extract performance at every stage of the race. The other thing I've quickly realised is that there will be no easy results here in GT3s. The closeness of the fields, particularly at the very popular times, means that every result will be hard fought for, and understanding the racecraft of these cars and being consistent, not making mistakes, is going to be crucial to try and extract results over the next 12 weeks. It has ultimately gotten me very excited for my racing here on iRacing, trying to unlock that pace at all of these new tracks that I will experience over the next 12 weeks. Certainly for this one, coming across the line, happy with only 4 incident points. We do pick up more safety rating, and in fact, as we cross the line, we do get a bit of a surprise. You see, this moment here between a couple of cars fighting it out for the podium meant that car number 9 there at the front there actually picked up enough incident points to receive a drive-through penalty. So as we come across the line, our 11th place turns into a top 10, and overall a nice way to finish my time here at the Red Bull Ring. So there we are, guys, our first GT3 racing experiences on iRacing. The fields are close, the racing is hard fought, and there will be no easy results for me over the next 12 weeks. Not only that, but I know I have a massive learning curve ahead of me, so let me know in the comments, what did you think of the races that I showed? What do you think about how I performed in them? And any tips and tricks you have for me, I will gladly appreciate receiving those. Of course, that was the main GT3 series on iRacing, and in the next video, I'm going to show you my first races in the new GT3 regional series. Is this series any good? Is it a good or bad thing for iRacing? I have some thoughts, and I'll share that in the next video. If you want to see that and you are not subscribed already, please consider doing so down below. And if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much for getting to the end of this video. Race hard, stay positive. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers.